See, they don't ever want to talk about root crime. In fact, this morning, and y'all know I don't watch Morning Joe. Ever since Mika got in her feelings when I talked about that reality show on sorority sisters and we blasted, you don't have to watch. After I jacked her up, they ain't invited me back since. So I ain't been back on Morning Joe since 2015. So y'all gotta understand, these white producers getting their feelings. Just like I ain't been on ABC This Week in 4 years since I cracked Governor Chris Christie. But this morning on MSNBC, there was a conversation. And it was a conversation, Joe Scarborough, Simone Sanders, and what's happening in Washington, D.C. Actually came up. And it turned into a rather spirited conversation, y'all. I'm trying to pull it up right now because I want to play about 2.5 minutes of it. It was very interesting. It was very interesting because I need you to understand, and I need y'all to be very sensitive when you hear certain things, and when you hear white people, Democrats or Republicans, when they talk about crime and, oh my God, and how people are feeling so unsafe and just how hard things are. It's amazing when they start using language like that and you start going, well, exactly what are y'all talking about? Because see, they start describing like the entire city is on fire and as if there's just mayhem and oh my God, it's going. I'm not denying there's crime, because hell, there's crime in rural America. These things are happening in rural America every single day. But you see, the response to crime by white folks is always more cops. Now, I just laid out to y'all that when we talk about crime, it's called preventative measures. Why is Baltimore's crime so low? We're going to have the mayor later this week. Baltimore's crime is down because the mayor enacted a series of policies that addressed the root cause of crime. He wasn't fixated on just sticking more cops on the street. He understood root cause. But I want y'all to listen. Listen to Joe Scarborough speak from his way. First of all, let me be real clear. Joe Scarborough speaking from his white perch. I want y'all to look at the background. Joe Scarborough, first of all, his show is based out of D.C. But for the most part, him and Mika, who are married, do the show from their house in Florida. So what your ass know about Washington, D.C. every single day? Listen to this exchange.
You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe, I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe. So what is it about talking about places like Southeast D.C., right, Ward 8, if you will, that people say, well, we need more officers to make us safe? I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
Well, you know, there have been black city council members in New York City when people were talking about defunding the police, saying the people we represent are the people who need police officers the most, as safety officers in schools need police officers the most, so our children can walk from their homes to school without being stopped, 5-10 times by drug dealers or people that are going to assault them. I don't think this is an issue of black versus white when you're talking about safety. There are a lot of black Americans who don't feel safe in their homes, in their neighborhoods, and when they hear people talking about defunding the police, it freaks them out. I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
Defund the police is not good. I never supported defund. I think you're making a good point, Joe. I want to be able to call the police in my neighborhood. When they come, I don't want them to think that I'm a suspect. But what we're talking about is that the President of the United States is saying that there is a crime emergency in Washington, D.C. An emergency could be anything that he says it is. So from his definition, maybe there is. The data would say otherwise. But the issue that people keep citing is about the young people, the carjackings, right? The kids running into a CVS and like taking things out the CVS. That is juvenile crime. And so how are the police officers or the National Guard going to address the issue of juvenile crime? And until we start talking about the policy, let's talk about the crime bill that D.C. passed last year that could be strengthened, right? Let's talk about that. But Donald Trump is using rhetoric and playing on the real fears that some people have because of what they've seen on the news or maybe what they themselves have experienced. And
it's not what they've seen on the news. It's not what they've seen.
That was a longer conversation, long conversation. But I just want you to understand how mighty uneducated Joe Scarborough is. And I want y'all to recognize how he tried to slide in defund the police. So if you go to Google and you type in defund the police, AI is going to give you an overview. And see, Joe Scarborough committed the biggest problem that we always see. This is what it says. The movement to defund the police is a call to reallocate or redirect funding from police departments to other community-based services and initiatives. And what does it say right here? Reinvesting in community-based strategies. This means shifting resources towards violence prevention and interruption, housing, healthcare, income support, employment, education, and other programs that address the root causes of crime and promote community well-being, limiting the scope of policing. This involves rethinking the role of police in society and relying less on them to address social issues such as homelessness, mental health crises, and substance abuse. Arguments in favor of defunding the police. Addressing systemic issues. Proponents argue that police departments are often tasked with addressing social issues they are not trained or equipped to handle, and that focusing on community-based solutions can more effectively address the root causes of crime. That was what the call for defund the police was all about. But see, the right took that and ran with it, and a lot of Democrats fell in the line. And so the narrative became, get rid of cops. No. And see, when Joe Scarborough says, well, black city council members in New York City will say, our people want police. Yeah, Joe, the phrasing is called to protect and serve. When somebody black calls 911, they do want the cops to show up. But see, Joe, when black people call 911, what they don't want to happen is we end up getting shot and killed. What they don't want, Joe, is when black people call the cops, we don't want the cops to show up, beat the shit out of people. When we call the cops, we don't want the cops to show up and shake people down. See, this is how, I just want y'all to understand how white national media loves to spin this. So I'm going to issue a challenge. If any of y'all watch ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, I dare you to time, if it even comes up, how much time is spent on the root cause of crime in Washington, D.C., New York City, and other cities. Let's see if it even comes up. I put $1,000, ain't gonna come up. I guarantee you that these shows will call Mayor Brandon Scott, but they won't ask him in detail, how did you lower crime in Baltimore? They ain't gonna ask that question. They ain't gonna do that. They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna ask him, well, Mayor, how is it that you have gotten, and this was the statement that he released. Mayor Scott said when it comes to public safety in Baltimore, he should turn off the right-wing propaganda. Look at the facts. Baltimore is the safest it's been in over 50 years. Homicides are down 28% this year alone, reaching the lowest level of any year on record. We still have real work to do to build on this progress, but that work starts and ends here in Baltimore with the local, state, and federal partners who have gotten us this far. And he goes on to explain all this sort of stuff. See, y'all, Joe Scarborough don't want to have that question. Don't want to have that conversation. Because, see, first of all, let's remember, Joe Scarborough's a Republican. So he ain't no Democrat, he ain't no progressive. He a white conservative, okay? So, but as white progressives, just like Joe Scarborough, think the same way. See, if you listen, Joe Scarborough, all of my friends, people hit me quietly, and they say they can't go here and go there. Do y'all actually think the white folk who hit Joe Scarborough live in high crime areas of D.C.? He was sitting talking about, people I know, they can't even go to. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna play it for you. Let me just play the silly bullshit. And of course, a Charlie Kirk retweeted this. Watch this.
You can walk 40, 50, 60 blocks in Manhattan at 2 in the morning and feel safe. And yet in Washington, D.C., I've got friends that worked in the Biden White House. I have friends that work in the media that say they don't feel safe walking 3 blocks in Washington, D.C. Why can't Washington be fixed, despite what the crime numbers say? Because people aren't feeling it.
You know, often it's the perception of being safe or unsafe that affects cities. And I think that's what's happened in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has 3,400 police officers. They're undermanned. The National Guard will provide a presence. And sometimes that's all you need to clear a block or clear a person's mind that it's okay to walk that block. Police presence, or the symbols of police presence. So we'll see how it goes.
Do y'all actually think the white people texting Joe Scarborough can't walk more than 1 block? Do y'all know how many blocks right now where we are, we in D.C.? I have walked 8 blocks that way, 8 blocks that way, 6 blocks that way, 8 blocks that way. In the daytime, in the evening, at nighttime, at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't, oh my God, what's gonna happen? This is the bullshit that white media loves to project. In fact, they put out charts all the time that shows you where the crime takes place in a lot of y'all cities, in a lot of cities. And you know where it mostly is? Typically, it's like 2 areas of town. So what Joe Scarborough is doing is feeding right into the narrative that, oh my God, DC's on fire, you can't visit, it's terrible, the tourists, and you can't go, it's awful. You can't go to the grocery store, you can't go. That's where the feeding frenzy comes in. So Scarborough is literally sounding just like the crazy ass fool in the Oval Office. It's the exact same thing, y'all. This is the game. This is the game that they play to justify. And see, Simone was trying to be nice. Simone was, y'all, she was protecting her check. Because anybody else who, and see, there's a reason why they don't call me. Because see, they want nice collegial conversations. I'm not going to have the conversations. Because if I was there, I would have said, Joe, please tell me, where do your friends live? No, Joe, don't give me general. Give me zip codes. And I would have sat there and I would have pulled up, let's pull the stats up. Let's pull the stats up in a zip code where your friends live. Let's see where the crime takes place. So we know he lying. And then Mike Barnacle, well, it's the perception. If y'all want to Google Mike Barnacle and race, he wrote some of the most racist shit in the Boston Globe you could think of. So I need y'all to understand that they have established this narrative. I need y'all to understand it's big cities, it's Democrat-run cities, it's inner cities, black. So we're going to combat crime, but we're going to pull resources that can alleviate crime. So their answer is to pour resources into law enforcement, withdraw resources that prevents crime, that deals with the root cause, and then say, well, we fixed it. We cleaned the streets up because we locked up a bunch of people. That literally is their thinking. Somebody had to challenge Chicago Mayor Brendan Jackson on this, and he tried to be nice about it. Then finally, he had to go ahead and let him know exactly how he felt.
Illinois National Guard refused to follow a presidential order.
We're going to go to the next question.
Or have you asked, or your administration asked them to inform you in case that they're activated by the president?
Well, let me just be very clear. I have not spoken to the governor within the last 24 hours. I do believe that Donald Trump is intimidating.
Okay, no interruption.
So let me just answer that. I do appreciate.
Audios, please get it right. I need to hear Brandon Johnson. Please. All right. Do y'all have it? Play it.
You're the one.
Thank you.
Let's move on, please.
All right. Thank you, Ed.
Who is not keeping the people of Chicago safe.
All right, we're going to go to the next question. Thanks.
What do you say to Donald Trump? How did you feel when Donald Trump called you incompetent? What did you feel?
All right, he just addressed this. Thanks.
Please answer that question, if you would.
Okay, fine. Since you are begging, I do believe that Donald Trump is intimidated. I think you're begging.
No interruption.
So let me just answer that. I do appreciate you begging. So I would just say it like this, that the president has always been intimidated by the intellectual prowess of black men. And so, of course, he would speak in those petite and puerile terms because he's small.
Thanks.
Right.
Here's Justin.
That's how you answer. He's small.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.